It's time to put the good in your morning. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. And today, President Biden speaks out against efforts to tighten voting laws in some Republican-led states.
That sun is going to beat down on us, and we're going to have to combo that with not only humidity, but a good south wind as well. The latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
Also, it's another Wildcat Wednesday. We find out how you can get yourself a green thumb with Extension District's Master Gardener program. All that and more coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thanks for joining us for the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Zach Dodge. President Biden is slamming the enactment of new voting laws in Republican-led states. The president faces growing pressure as Texas Democrats camp out in the nation's capital after fleeing the state to stop a new election bill from moving forward. At least 17 states so far have enacted laws tightening voting rules. Speaking at the National Constitution Center in Philadelphia, President Biden scolded Republicans for what he called attacks on voting rights.
In America, if you lose, you accept the results. You follow the Constitution. You try again. You don't call facts fake and then try to bring down the American experiment just because you're unhappy.
Any federal legislation needs to go through the Senate, which is equally divided. Democrats will likely need to abolish the filibuster if they want to pass a Voting Rights Act. The Joplin and Jasper County Health Departments are reporting new COVID-19 deaths. In Jasper County, 3 more people have died. They were all men in their 50s, 60s, and 70s. That brings the county's total to 169. In Joplin, a 64-year-old woman died with COVID-19. The total number of COVID-19 deaths in Joplin now stands at 138. At a news conference yesterday, Crawford County Health Department and Ascension Via Christi Hospital officials say the county is seeing its 4th major spike in COVID-19 cases since the pandemic began. The vast majority of those new cases, along with every recent death, are people who have not been vaccinated. Health officials reiterated that the vaccines are safe and recommended.
As I see new patients in the emergency department with COVID-19, universally their response was, I wish I would have got the vaccine because this is terrible. And we've already lost 5 people in the last 2 weeks that were unvaccinated. Monday, we've had 33 new cases.
Just under 50% of the county's population has received at least 1 dose of a vaccine. Freeman Health System hosted a back-to-school COVID-19 vaccination clinic. The clinic was available for children ages 12 and up. The FDA has cleared the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines for use in that age range. Parents did need to be present for a juvenile to get the vaccine.
In the area that I work in, we see COVID all day, every day, and we're seeing the numbers really increase. And since they made it so the kids could get the shots, they've decreased the age, then I decided to get them vaccinated.
Second doses of the vaccine will be given out on August 11th. Springfield, Missouri is canceling this year's Birthplace of Route 66 festival due to COVID-19 concerns. The August event had looked like it would happen, but a surge of the Delta variant has made the area a national hotspot for new cases. Organizers say they don't want the festival to spread the coronavirus even more and strain the hospital system. The city is also canceling its Ozark Empire Fair this month. This is the 2nd year the Route 66 festival has been canceled. A group of 10 Oklahomans asked the state Supreme Court to order Governor Kevin Stitt to resume unemployment benefits aimed at those impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. In a brief filed Monday, attorney Mark Hammonds argues Stitt did not have the authority to stop offering federal unemployment programs through an executive order last month. A working mother of 5, Michaela Stewart, is one of the plaintiffs in the lawsuit. When the pandemic hit, she made the decision to stay home with her kids during the virtual school year. She says 2 unemployment programs helped keep them afloat.
My state still sees me as a drain, as somebody lazy who just is trying to profit off of this pandemic, and that is absolutely not the case. I stand to lose everything.
Both the OESC and the governor's office did not comment on the pending litigation. A hearing for oral arguments in the case has been scheduled for August 11th. Missouri Governor Mike Parson signs a bill into law to raise the gas tax gradually over the next 5 years. The new law, made official yesterday, will directly go to maintaining the state's roads, bridges, and overall transportation system. This year, the tax will go up 2.5 cents. It will continue to rise 2.5 cents until 2025. It's the first gas tax hike in the state in 25 years. However, unlike previous increases, Missouri residents can receive reimbursement if they keep their receipts and fill out a one-page process through the Missouri Department of Revenue each year. A new hardware store and jobs are coming to Frontenac, Kansas. The Harbor Freight Tools chain says it expects to open a store at 1007 North Highway 69 late this summer. An official date hasn't been given yet, but construction is underway. The company says the store will bring 25 to 30 new jobs. Harbor Freight currently has more than 1,200 stores nationwide. It's National Mac and Cheese Day, and Kraft is going way outside the box to celebrate. The iconic macaroni and cheese producer is teaming up with New York ice cream company Van Leeuwen for an unlikely pairing of comfort foods. Get ready to dig your spoons into macaroni and cheese flavored ice cream, promising an all-natural creamy and cheesy flavored ice cream sure to remind you of a bowl of mac and cheese. The product will sell for a whopping $12 a pint on Van Leeuwen's website. I don't know what's most surprising, the fact that they made it or the fact that they're charging $12 for
$12 a pint?
For a pint. What?
Gives me an excuse
Like,
not to try it.
Right, maybe I would try it, but that's kind of prohibitive there.
Maybe I wouldn't try it, and I
Right.
thank them for putting that price point so high that
Yeah,
it
there you
never
go.
even crosses my mind.
Right.
You try it though?
If it wasn't $12, maybe. Maybe. I like mac and cheese, but I don't know about that much.
Not mac and
Not
cheese
that
ice cream,
much.
man. Does look like good old-fashioned vanilla though, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. I'd go for some vanilla ice cream right now.
Right.
I'd go for a gorgeous sunrise over 7th and Rangeline, and that's exactly what we got. Warm start, already 75 degrees with the wind coming in at 11 miles per hour. 72 in Monette and Independence. Let's go 73 in Nevada and Fort Scott. Miami sits at 72 as well. The wind tracker is going to increase throughout the course of the late morning, afternoon hours. Still jockeying between 5 and 10 miles right now. A little light cloud cover has moved in from the north, but that's part of a larger system here that's sitting in the upper plains that is not going to affect us rain-wise. Just got a little fall off of the cloud cover that as that thing moves across in toward the Great Lakes. Our weather trend is going to be in the low 90s today. Feel about like 96, 97 because of all the Gulf moisture that we're picking up. And when the Gulf moisture fills the air, eventually on Thursday, it's going to have to go someplace, and it will come down in the form of some thunderstorm activity. See, there's some pockets of heavy rain there all the way from Thursday night into Friday morning. And could see places that'll get about 1.5 to 2 inches. That's not going to be widespread by any means. That's going to be right in the thick of it. But then we're right back into the high 80s as we head into the weekend.
Up next, how an area school district is handling recent changes to CDC guidelines. And learning life-saving skills in the water. We take you inside Joplin's Junior Lifeguard Program. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Schools are facing some tough decisions on how to respond to CDC guidance for students returning to the classroom. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky spoke with the Carthage School District to find out their approach.
With vaccines readily available for anyone 12 and over, the CDC is relaxing its COVID-19 guidelines. Recently, the Public Health Agency announced that fully vaccinated students and teachers can return to the classroom this fall, mask-free. For those unvaccinated,
Well, I think CDC and local health departments recommend that the unvaccinated students and teachers continue to wear a mask.
local school districts like Carthage schools are using this new guidance to promote health in their community.
We will promote vaccinations. We'll tell our staff, our students, our parents, community members, if you are vaccinated, you will not be quarantined, and that's the bottom line.
As for how things will be different in the fall,
They do not have to wear their mask if they're vaccinated, and they will not be quarantined if they're vaccinated.
for unvaccinated students, the district won't require masks. But if they don't wear a mask and come into contact with someone testing positive, they will be quarantined. Should case numbers increase, this plan could change.
Now, if something changes in our society, in our local area, that all of a sudden a variant or another variant is spreading to where kids are positive, our staff positive, we might have to make some changes to our plan.
Which is why the district plans to work closely with the health department to stay on top of cases.
Really what matters the most for us is what's happening in our community.
If we have quarantined people out in the county, then we quarantine them and provide information to the schools about who we have under quarantine or isolation at a given time.
It's still a bit early to know exactly how different schools will operate by August, but Carthage Schools says they plan on following the numbers. In Carthage, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
Carthage students will return to school on August 23rd. It looks like a lot of people are a fan of the great outdoors and mountain air. I can't say that I blame them. Taking the top spot for the second year in a row for best places to live by U.S. World Report is Boulder, Colorado. Many people have reevaluated where to settle down since the start of the pandemic. According to U.S. News, Boulder County offers more than 60 parks and 155 miles of hiking trails. Plus, they rank second for best places to live for quality of life. The list ranks the country's 150 most populous metro areas based on affordability, job prosperity, and desirability.
Did you tell me Fayetteville was in there too?
Yeah, I think that Fayetteville was in there. It might be number 2. It's pretty high up on the list as well, which I can see that. Fayetteville's really nice.
You know, they're calling the hogs.
Right.
There you go. Our daily almanac for this July 14th. Look at this record high. It dates back to 1954. 115 degrees. Maybe I should stop talking about how hot it's going to be today. 75 in Joplin right now, 73 in Pittsburgh, and let's roll 72 in both Monette and Independence. Wind trackers going to play a factor as far as what it feels like later on today. Still rolling between 5 and 10 miles per hour, but we're starting to see it pick up there out in the west, where Independence and Chanute. I know 9 miles an hour doesn't mean much, but the fact that it was calm earlier shows how it is increasing. That is fallout, the cloud cover is fallout from this large one right here. They've even had multiple storm reports with 60-mile-an-hour winds. That thing's been throwing down some hail as it now progresses due east, getting ready to move into portions of Minnesota and Iowa. Our weather trend has us lifting up into the 90s, low 90s later on today, but it's the Gulf moisture that adds to the humidity and also to the south wind that has it feeling about like 96 or 97 by the afternoon. Let's roll future track. Should stay on the dry side for today. And then as we work in overnight, it's going to be another warm night. Great start to tomorrow morning, but now look at what begins to develop here out to the northwest. And it's not going to be on us until we get to the evening hours. But at the same point, that's what we'll be eyeballing right there. And then early afternoon, just about on our west, but really it's going to be more of a nighttime into Friday morning affair. Got some pockets of heavy rain in there. We'll see 1.5 inches to 2 inches every now and then. That's not going to be the widespread number. Widespread number is probably going to be about half to quarter. And then after that, we cruise into the weekend, but we're still in the high 80s. So it's going to be a little bit muggy even after the rain falls. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, and we find ourselves on a Wildcat Wednesday. You know, now that we've turned the calendar into July and luckily got rid of the majority of the rain that we had at the end of the month. I know everybody's chomping at the bit to get outside, get some fresh air, and maybe work in that garden. Well, we're fortunate enough to be joined by Jesse Gilmore. Jesse from the K-State Research and Extension Office as part of our Wildcat Wednesday. Jesse, you're a horticulture agent, and we brought you on today because many people may have heard of the term Master Gardener, and you've got some of these classes coming up, but man, does that sound intimidating on the surface.
Yeah, anytime you append master to the beginning of something, it kind of evokes the idea that you should be an expert in the topic. And honestly, that has kind of scared some people away from doing the Master Gardener program at all. But we provide a lot of the training for Master Gardeners, and usually that happens from September to mid-November, typically, if you're doing in-person. Last year, obviously, we couldn't really do in-person classes, so we switched to an online format for that year, and we did 14 weeks of 3-hour classes, which I think was much more digestible for the people who showed up. But those topics range from like basic plant science all the way to landscape design. It covers the gambit of horticultural topics, really.
And so what you're telling me is I don't have to feel like I'm a master coming in. What you're trying to do is attract people that may be interested to this and provide them with future educational opportunities.
Yes, so the Master Gardener program provides the basic training every fall, and then the kind of expectation is that the people who receive the training get out into the community and do some horticulture-based volunteer work. And I've been lucky enough to have some volunteers who are really go-getters. One in particular has already volunteered over 100 hours since the end of her training in December. And volunteering can really take a lot of different forms. It doesn't necessarily just have to be gardening. There can also be education-related volunteering and administrative-related volunteering. For example, if there's a class that needs to be taught in a particular area and someone feels comfortable enough to teach it, they can get volunteer hours that way.
And the important thing is that it doesn't matter which of the 4 states we're talking about. The Master Gardener program allows you to begin with the foundation and the building blocks to hopefully, it's a life skill. And not a life skill, but it can be a lifelong hobby and maybe turn it into something more. Jesse, for those of you that want to get in touch with you, they want to become a part of your Master Gardening class and program, how do they do that?
They can find an application on our district website. It will basically kind of spell out the basic plan for this year's training. Our training for the Wildcat District, which is the unit that I'm responsible for, will be held in Parsons this year. From September 2nd, I believe, to December 16th. They can call or email me, 620-724-8233 for the office that I'm in. Or they can visit our website to find an application to print out and send in.
And I think the great thing is you've given people plenty of ample time, Jesse, to jot down those questions that they can bring you when class begins. Jesse Gilmore from the Wildcat Extension District on this Wildcat Wednesday. Jesse, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News right after this.
Most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:30. Let's take a look at today's top stories. The Joplin and Jasper County Health Departments are reporting new COVID-19 deaths. In Jasper County, 3 more people have died. They were all men in their 50s, 60s, and 70s. That brings the county's total to 169. In Joplin, a 64-year-old woman died with COVID-19. The total number of COVID-19 deaths in Joplin now stands at 138. At a news conference yesterday, Crawford County Health Department and Ascension Via Christi Hospital said the county is seeing its 4th major spike in COVID-19 cases since the pandemic began. The vast majority of those cases, along with every recent death, are people who have not been vaccinated. Health officials reiterated that the vaccines are safe and recommended. Missouri Governor Mike Parsons signs a bill into law to raise the gas tax gradually over the next 5 years. The new law, made official yesterday, will directly go to maintaining the state's roads, bridges, and overall transportation system. This year, the tax will go up 2.5 cents. It will continue to rise 2.5 cents until 2025. It's the first gas tax hike in the state in 25 years. However, unlike previous increases, Missouri residents can receive reimbursement if they keep their receipts and fill out a one-page process through the Missouri Department of Revenue each year. A new hardware store and jobs are coming to Frontenac, Kansas. The Harbor Freight Tools chain says it expects to open a store at 1007 North Highway 69 late this summer. An official date hasn't been given yet, but construction is underway. The company says the store will bring 25 to 30 new jobs. Harbor Freight currently has more than 1,200 stores nationwide. A number of Joplin area businesses say they're committed to creating a more diverse, welcoming, and inclusive community. The Joplin Area Chamber of Commerce and its Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Work Group today formally announced the launch of their Joplin Leadership Pledge. But dozens of companies and groups have already signed the pledge. The EDI group says the goal is to ensure that companies and individuals create cultures that welcome and support everyone.
It makes me feel good about myself. This is the type of stuff that I wanted to do in life, and I want to accomplish these type of things, and to be a part of a group that they're already working towards them. That's it makes me feel accomplished. Makes me feel like I'm a part of something good for the future.
To learn more or to sign the pledge, visit choosejoplin.com/pledge. A shocking moment on the golf course caught on video. An 18-year-old hits an 88-mile-per-hour ball at Top Golf in San Antonio, Texas during a rainstorm. But what happens next was unexpected. Check it out. The top of the ball collided with a bolt of lightning. Top Golf says guests were immediately asked to move indoors after the lightning strike, and there were no reported injuries aside from that poor ball that got blown to oblivion. That's insane.
So my question is, you can tell there's a deluge out there. For those of you that are unfamiliar with Top Golf, obviously you got the awning that you can hit off of. I'm going to be the safety weather police. You see a deluge like that and you know there's lightning in the area?
Right.
Don't stand under an awning and hit stuff with a metal club in your hands.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that you're right there.
I like how they people were asked to go inside after
the lightning strike.
Right. After that bolt grabbed that ball out of midair.
Wow, that's still crazy.
Okay, Tanya always uses the line, turn around, don't drown. Don't drive through flooded roads.
Right, yeah.
There's another one. When it roars, go indoors.
Yeah.
If you hear thunder, get out.
Right.
Go home.
Definitely.
All right, Zach, current conditions over 7th and Rangeline. We got a warm one. Luckily, we don't have to worry about thunderstorm activity for today. We'll save that until tomorrow, because what will happen is we will get some thunderstorm activity for Thursday. High around 91 today. Let's go ahead and talk about Thursday real quick, because as we press through, it'll formulate off to our northwest with a whole lot of Gulf moisture, and then it's going to roll through Thursday night all the way through Friday morning. So we're going to see a little thunder and lightning with that as well. Be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on this Wildcat Wednesday. It has been a century since the first Montgomery County, Kansas Fair took place, and we're celebrating 100 years. And we've got a special guest on with us this morning for this Wildcat Wednesday. It's Sarah Schwatkin. Sarah, this summer, is interning for the Wildcat District of the Kansas State Research and Extension Office. Sarah, number one, congratulations on the internship. Number two, I understand you're going to take me through what goes into judging clothing at a county fair, because we immediately think of livestock, we think horses, and when it comes to judging and whatnot, sometimes we forget about some of the finer aspects that you great 4-Hers learn during this process. Why don't we start with the dress that you have in your hands there?
So this is my formal dress, and when I looked whenever I bought for it, I just looked like how it would look with my skin tone and just the length, and made sure that it fit really well, because that's basically what the judge looks for when they judge your clothing.
So what is the judging process like when it comes to the clothing aspect of it? Is there a question and answer format? Do you have to explain yourself in any means about why you made the decisions? What's it like being a participant?
So you have a judging sheet, and basically that is where you put your price per wear, you put the description of your clothing, why you chose the clothing, where you would wear the clothing, and then the actual modeling, you put on your clothing and then you go to the judge. They have you walk a couple steps, turn around, see, and make sure it fits everywhere correctly. And then they may ask you some more questions on why you picked your outfit.
So this is something that you've taken part in the past, right?
Yes.
What are some of the tricks of the trade and tips that you've learned through being part of the 4-H clothing and the judging that you've been able to apply to your real life?
Just basically pick casual clothing that you will wear like every day. Then the judges really like that, and they will give you a higher ribbon because like you actually like what you're wearing.
Since you're interning out there in Montgomery County, I do have one question that I'd like you to leave the audience with, and that is, during your time in 4-H, what have you taken out that from where you started to where you are now as a young woman, and why did you want to intern with the Wildcat District?
So I've been in 4-H since I was 7, the legal 4-H age. And I just love the responsibility it gives, the leadership, all of those aspects. And you also get to meet a lot of kids that you wouldn't regularly get to meet all around the county. So I wanted the internship so that I could help mentor and just really see what goes into like all the behind the scenes work for the fair and just every area of 4-H.
Sarah, number one, congratulations on the internship. Number two, 4 states very fortunate enough to have young people like you that want to pass down what they've learned and be a mentor for those younger students. Thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you.
Hey, best of luck too with the clothing contest, okay?
Thank you so much.
All right, special thanks to Sarah Schwatkin. She is the intern out in Montgomery County for the Wildcat District. Right behind the camera, the wonderful Katie Townsend. Katie, thank you for your time. And if anybody has the opportunity, once again, I want to remind you that this is the Montgomery County Fair Edition 100. Congratulations to all of you out in Montgoco. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News right after this. Evidently, Americans agree when it comes to sticking to a budget, cash is still king. That's according to a new poll where 51% of Americans say using cash helps them stick to their budget. The poll surveyed 1,500 people, determined even Gen Zers like to use cash in order to stay frugal. A majority of respondents from all age groups say they want about $52 on them at all times. 77% agreeing not having cash when you need it is a fear of theirs. Some of the most popular things people prefer to pay for with cash include tipping, fast food, coffee, and gas. Our question to you on the KOAM News Now Insta poll this morning, what's your preferred method of payment? And just kind of like the poll said, 48% of you saying you prefer cash. You can make your voice heard each and every morning by going to komnewsnow.com/vote. Zach?
A federal law banning young adults aged 18 to 21 from purchasing guns from dealers has been deemed unconstitutional. The 1968 law barred people under 21 from purchasing handguns from licensed dealers, but did not affect sales from private parties or on long guns like rifles. A Richmond Court of Appeals overturned the long-standing law, with one judge saying the right to bear arms is a, quote, cherished constitutional right, adding that neither the Second Amendment nor people aged 18 to 21 should be put as second class.
I'll take it.
The U.S. Supreme Court won't take up a long-shot bid to overturn the public travel mask mandate. A man in Florida had challenged the Biden administration order. Lucas Wall says his anxiety disorder prevents him from wearing a mask, so he hasn't been able to fly. Justice Clarence Thomas oversees potential cases out of appeals courts in Florida. He's denying the request for the High Court to take up the case. The pinch at the pump is starting to hurt as gas prices continue to rise. While eager vacationers run out of their houses, the cost may remain high for a while, but a steadying of crude oil prices may help ease drivers' burdens. Lauren Blanchard has the story.
The pain at the pump seems to have no end in sight for Americans. The average price of regular gas in the U.S. is now $3.21, a jump of 5 cents in just the last 2 weeks.
I'm fixing to throw some gas in right now, and it's almost $3 a gallon.
The highest average for a gallon of regular is in the San Francisco Bay Area at $4.39, while parts of Louisiana have the lowest prices at around $2.65. Some economic experts partially blame lingering supply shortages for the rise in prices.
Producers both in the United States, but especially producers abroad, really basically closed the valves and quit producing as much oil.
Officials at the White House are positive the high prices are actually normal for this time of year. And with folks excited to stretch their legs and get out of their homes, people want to go on vacations now more than ever.
In the last 10 years pre-pandemic, for example, the average price of gas in July is nearly 30 cents higher than it is in January. And any prices are higher now than they were last year because Americans are finally able to travel.
While the cost to fill up is high, there may be a light at the end of the tunnel. Initial skyrocketing crude oil prices have drastically slowed down, which may lead to a steadying of gas prices.
We'll be back with more right after this, but first, let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell. It's time for What the Tech. From a robotic trash-eating jellyfish to a robot with a sense of touch and more, the world is full of new electronic devices lending humans a helping hand. Marianne Rafferty has more on the latest developments and how they're helping to keep people safe and socially distanced during the rise of the Delta variant.
With human interaction greatly limited for more than a year because of COVID-19, inventors have turned to robots to fill the voids in workspaces, stadiums, and more. Out on the waters of southern France, the jellyfish bot is combing the ocean for trash. This remote-controlled device swims in between boats, collecting debris in hard-to-reach places. And workers at this port say it helps them save time and can eliminate human contact. Meanwhile, you've probably heard of robots that can walk and talk, but how about robots with a sense of touch? Well, now it's possible thanks to AI foam. This technology in Singapore is embedded with electrodes and metal that react to changes in pressure. Experts say it's crucial that automated devices have the ability to sense their surroundings, especially when more robots are being used in work settings.
Robots need to be a lot more intelligent when working around humans. So, for example, if you're near a human, the robot won't actually harm you because it can detect your presence.
And over in Japan, dancing robots have replaced cheering fans at some of the country's baseball games throughout the pandemic, raising the question, now that fans aren't allowed at the Tokyo Olympics, will these friendly robots make a debut to liven up the stadiums? And the use of robots also greatly increased in hospitals during the height of the pandemic, allowing families and medical staff to check in on patients without the risk of spreading the virus.
I swear before too terribly long, robots are just going to end up taking over the world.
Took the words right out of my mouth, man.
Yeah. Have they never seen any of the dozens of movies like iRobot where that thing literally happens?
That's exactly what I was, I was going to wait for you to say something. I was just going to reply, they're going to take over the world. Right.
But one thing they'll never be able to do is this segue to you at the weather desk for weather.
Oh. Zach Tosh. Oh, Zach Tosh.
I don't know what I'm doing anymore.
They're already experimenting with AI anchors in China.
Is that true?
Yeah, I know. It's scary.
That's scary.
75 degrees over 7th and Rangeline right now. It is a nice warm morning, albeit a tad bit muggy. 73 in Parsons and Monette, 75 in Miami and Pittsburgh. The wind tracker is steadily going to increase today to the point where we'll probably be rolling about 10 to 15 miles per hour here for the duration of the morning and increasing for the afternoon. See that cloud cover that's worked in there throughout southeast Kansas? Well, it's actually fall off from part of a very large storm system rolling through the upper plains right now. Turned on the storm reports. The earlier reports were winds Now it looks like a whole lot of rain, but even some hail out there on the eastern edge of Iowa. Luckily, it's going to stay out of our way, and hopefully we can get this flood warning for the Osage River in southwest Missouri to actually expire at 4 o'clock this afternoon. That aforementioned system up there in the upper plains is going to follow the jet stream right toward the Great Lakes, and that's going to be the most severe weather for the contiguous 48 today. For us, it's a matter of trying to stay cool, as we'll be around 91 degrees, but feel like 96 to 97. Overnight, very warm again, so let's go ahead and transition into Thursday, because that will be our next round of some thunderstorm activity. It'll develop to our northwest. Really won't be on us though until the afternoon hours, and then pick up during the evening and night. Look at that. That's going to be some pretty heavy rain coming down, and we'll get a little bit of thunder and lightning. Not really showing up much in the severe thunderstorm risk map for Thursday into Friday, so that's good news, but no cool off behind it as we maintain high 80s into the weekend. We'll be back, wrap up this edition of the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
Albers Marine.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Here's what's happening today. President Biden is vowing to do whatever he can to protect voting rights. The president denounced the Republican-led efforts to enact restrictive state election laws as being un-American and an assault on democracy. COVID-19 infections are again on the rise in the U.S. According to Johns Hopkins University, the number of cases has doubled in the last 3 weeks. Experts say the surge is being fueled by the coronavirus's more contagious Delta variant. Extreme heat and dry weather have combined for an explosive start to the western wildfire season. Dozens of fires are now burning from Alaska all the way down to Arizona. The largest is the Bootleg Fire in Oregon, which grew to over 200,000 acres on Tuesday, an area roughly the size of New York City. Now let's check in with Michael for your final look at the forecast.
70s right now, ending up in the low 90s. Factor in the humidity and the southerly breeze, feeling about like 96, 97. Thunderstorm activity beginning tomorrow late afternoon, carrying us through the nighttime into Friday morning.
Thank you very much, Michael.
You
a woman
welcome,
out
sir.
fishing reels in a unique catch. Sarah Four and her husband were fishing at a North Carolina lake when she caught a wallet. Upon opening the wallet, most of its contents remained preserved, dating back to 1984. In addition to a license, the wallet contained a Cumberland County Library card, credit cards, and some school photos with handwritten notes on the back. She's now hoping to find the owner of the wallet to reunite him with these memories. And while Sarah caught the wallet that day, she did not catch any fish.
Oh, you gotta make up a story about that. You gotta,
Right?
you gotta be like, nah, slaying them out there. It was a great day.
It was a great day. I caught this 700-pound bass.
Oh, I like the way you work, my man.
Yeah.
Thank you
And
so
then
much
this
for letting
wallet
us
too.
put the good in your morning. We'll be back with more news and weather when we see you at noon.